about tonight. Donald Trump is losing his mind and his hands. He's inventing new ways to do makeup wrong, and he has a dream that one day he will not be judged by the content of the Epstein files. Let's kick things off with distractions. What it looks like when they're fed to the media and what it looks like when they don't work. Because right now, Donald Trump is desperate to move on from the Epstein files. But the story is only building.
Imagine getting completely dismantled by a guy who sounds like he's asking to speak with a manager at Target. But instead of returning socks, he's out here shredding your entire identity on national TV. That's exactly what just happened to Donald Trump. Josh Johnson didn't come in throwing punches. He came in whispering, and somehow that made it 10 times worse. No fire, no smoke, just precise, deadpan truth that left Trump's ego bleeding on the floor. This wasn't a roast. It was a quiet, professional hit.
Down, shook him a little bit. We didn't do this one. But while we wait to see if Ghislaine survives this interview, Trump has been doing everything that he can to keep those files under wraps. He's even got his friends in Congress trying to help. Mike Johnson shut down the House just to avoid a vote on the release of the files.
Now, what do you get when someone who speaks like a slow software update decides to drag the former president through the mud? You get Josh Johnson, America's quietest assassin, calm, composed, and lethal. He walked up to the mic with librarian energy and blew up Trump's entire ego without even blinking. Trump had promised he'd lower drug prices when he took office. People called BS, and instead of
said he was never actually going to get it done. Well, guess what, haters? His promises just got even bigger.
We're going to get the drug prices down, not 30 or 40%, which would be great, not 50 or 60, no. We're going to get them down 1,000%, 600%, 500%, 1,500%, numbers that are not even thought to be achievable.
Scaling back, he did what he always does, went full cartoon villain. Not 30%, not 50%. Nah, he said we're cutting drug prices by 1,000%, then 600%, then 1,500%. Just random numbers pulled straight from a fever dream. Yeah, I also didn't think 1,500% off was possible unless the pharmacy is mailing you pills in a check. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because we're not slowing down.
So you understand, lowering drug prices 100% means it's free. Lowering it past that means they're going to give you money. Like, next year's Forbes billionaires list is just going to be a bunch of dudes with leukemia. Okay? On the bright side, we're actually going to be bankrupting insurance companies.
The thing about Josh is he doesn't yell, doesn't sweat, doesn't break character. He just calmly rearranges words in a way that makes Trump look like a guy who failed a CAPTCHA test labeled, "Are you qualified to lead?" Everyone else comes at Trump with a hammer. Josh shows up with surgical scissors and a disappointed look. And somehow that hits way harder. Oh, and just to be crystal clear, lowering drug prices by 100% means they're free. More than that, that means Big Pharma is paying you. At this rate, next year's Forbes bill.
Let's have a plan here. It's not to put a cap on the drug prices. That'd be too easy and simple.
We're working very hard right now to get the other countries to lift up their prices a little bit and to get the drug companies to put it to them. And if they don't, the drug companies will have a lot of problems, and they are mostly agreed to it. And if the countries don't, then as an example, if it's Europe, I'll say that's okay. You're no longer allowed to sell.
Billionaires list is just going to be cancer patients holding insulin vials like NFTs. Because apparently under Trump's plan, leukemia is a financial asset. But hey, silver lining, for once we'd be bankrupting insurance companies instead of the other way around. If Trump had pulled this off earlier, Big Pharma CEOs would have been out here mugging Mario. That's how backward this plan is. And the way Josh Johnson dismantled all of it? This wasn't some sweaty Twitter rant or a foam-mouthed monologue from late-night TV. No shouting, no cheap shots, just straight-face surgical humiliation, death by 1,000 intellectual paper cuts. Josh didn't roast Trump. He unscrewed the bolts of his personality one calm, smirking joke at a time. If satire were a martial art, Josh Johnson is a black belt in passive-aggressive demolition. And Trump? Oh, he does have a plan. But it's not to lower drug prices here. That would be far too logical. Instead, his genius solution is to raise drug prices in other countries. Yeah, and if they don't cooperate, that's okay. You're no longer allowed to sell cars. That's a real quote. Like he's trading Pokemon cards, not leading a global superpower. And bless his reality TV soul, Trump walked into this like it was a Miss Universe stage, and he forgot his...
Clear Congress out for the summer, like they found a dookie in the pool. But trying to shut down the release of the files only makes them more interesting. So over the last week, Trump has been throwing every distraction he can at us. And I want to go through some of them to show you how desperate he's getting. Let's start with his go-to distraction. Obama!
The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama.
Spray tan. Because nothing hits a man who lives off crowd noise and ego inflation harder than quiet surgical ridicule. Josh didn't even break a sweat as he shredded Trump's greatest hits. The solar eclipse stare, the bleach injections, the wildfire raking, the unhinged tweeting, all laid out like bullet points in a sociology class titled, When Democracy Gives Up. And the wildest part? Josh didn't need to exaggerate any of it. That's the real weapon here. The truth is devastating enough. When your legacy reads like rejected Saturday Night Live sketches, you're not just a punchline, you're an entire roast on legs. Josh Johnson's real weapon? It's not the jokes. It's that he makes it all look effortless. He delivers punchlines like he's reading off an Excel sheet, monotone, surgical, and absolutely lethal. While Trump is out here trying to make everything the greatest...
A kid you can bribe with a treat. Allow me to demonstrate what Donald Trump is going for here. I don't care about pedophilia anymore.
Most incredible. No one's ever seen anything like it. Josh reduced him to a punchline so dry, it needed moisturizer. Congress cleared out like someone dropped a floater in the Capitol pool. But instead of diffusing the fire, Trump just poured more gas on it. Trying to hide those files only made everyone more curious. So what did Trump do? He pulled out his favorite distraction playbook. Obama. The witch hunt you should be talking about is they caught President Obama abs. What does that even mean? And once Josh locked in on Trump's vocabulary, game over. This is a man who thinks oranges is the plural of origins. And Josh, he dropped that line like he was reviewing printer specs. No yelling, no reaction, just a deadpan verbal eye roll that hit harder than any insult. Trump's grammar isn't a slip-up. It's a full-blown hostage situation. And Josh, he's the unbothered negotiator refusing to play along. Then came the business legacy. Because what's a Trump takedown without mentioning the golden toilets, the defunct casinos, and the juicy horror story that was Trump University? Josh ran through that mess like he was tucking in a kid with night terrors. Except this
19, but not since Tupac Shakur has a dead man dropped so many bangers, all right? Yesterday, video of the government questioning him back in 2010 started making the rounds, and you'll never guess whose name came up. Go ahead, guess.
Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18?
time, the monster was real, and he once tried to sell steaks on QVC. The audience didn't just laugh, they howled. The kind of laugh that breaks tension, the kind that says, finally someone said it. Trump treats Americans like toddlers you can bribe with candy. And just when you think the bit can't get darker, Josh drops this. I don't care about pedophilia anymore. A single sentence, delivered cold, and suddenly the room goes from funny to furious. This wasn't just comedy. This was therapy. Josh wasn't there for applause. He was there to cleanse the room with uncomfortable truth, spoken through the mouth of a man who looks like he breaks out in hives when someone asks him how his weekend was. But nothing cut deeper than when Josh went after Trump's ego. Because when you tell a man obsessed with crowd size that his approval rating fits on a cocktail napkin, that's not a joke. That's annihilation. Josh Johnson wasn't roasting Trump. He was rewriting his legacy in Comic Sans. No yelling, no gloating, just ice-cold delivery like he was reading weather data.
I'll be honest, I've never heard anybody plead anything other than the fifth before. But this guy's so guilty, he's calling out every amendment he can think of. Like, no, what's the one with the women voting? 19, throw that in too. Now, this video is dropping less than a day since we found out Pam Bondi reportedly warned Trump back in May that his name was in the files multiple times.
Precise, brutal. While Trump screams for attention, Johnson calmly reminds us that this is a man who tried to redraw a hurricane path with a Sharpie. Trump's presidency? Not leadership, just a group project gone off the rails. And Josh was the teacher, breaking it down like, so this contestant built a wall with no budget and a marker. Then came Epstein. Yes, that Epstein. A 2010 video resurfaced, and guess whose name came up? Have you ever socialized with Donald Trump in the presence of females under the age of 18? Josh didn't flinch. He just let the question hang, louder than any punchline. And now, the post-presidency circus, the rallies, the bans, the lawsuits. Trump went from running the country to yelling at golf balls on weekends. And Josh? He treated it like a sequel no one asked for. Because this isn't political commentary, it's observational annihilation. While most critics paint Trump as a monster, Josh sees him for what he is, a malfunctioning appliance, a broken product sold by a man whose fans would buy a Bible and an NFT in the same week. That's not leadership. That's a late-night infomercial with flags. And somehow that quiet destruction hits the hardest. No rants, no haymakers, just calm, clinical takedowns. Like when Trump pleads the fifth, and then some. What's the one with the women voting? 19? Throw that in too. And now, less than 24 hours after we learned that Pam Bondi reportedly warned Trump back in May that his name was all over the sealed files, she was suddenly booked to speak at an anti-human trafficking summit. This wasn't your typical roast. No fire, no fury, just silence and a scalpel. This wasn't a roast, it was a surgical takedown. Clean, cold, and completely unforgiving. Josh Johnson didn't show up with fireworks. He showed up like a landmine. No noise, just impact. While everyone else screams their opinions, Josh whispers a 5-word truth that crushes years of ego in a single sentence. He doesn't chase attention. He steals it and makes you laugh just before it hurts. And when you think it's all jokes, boom, true crime. The Trump administration just dropped over 230,000 pages related to Martin Luther King Jr.'s assassination. Why? Because that's how desperate it's gotten. He's running out of distractions, so now he's dropping Black History files. But it backfired. Bernice King, Dr. King's daughter, simply posted, "Now do the Epstein files." Trump's whole strategy is chaos. Yell at him, and he yells louder. But Josh, he just leans in.
They were friends. Trump lived so close to Epstein in Florida that Epstein had to knock on his door and let him know he was on the sex offender registry. Like, that's how close they lived together. He knocked on the door, was like, "Hi, the court has ordered me to notify you that I'm in the area. I have been convicted of a few crimes, and I left my suit jacket over here last night."
Like he's about to ask for your Wi-Fi, then hits you with a line so sharp it leaves a scar. Because this isn't just comedy, it's a mirror, one that reflects how absurd and broken the whole thing really is. And when Josh brought up Epstein, it hit different. Trump and Epstein were neighbors. So close, Epstein probably knocked on Trump's door to let him know he was a registered sex offender. Like, "Hey man, just letting you know I'm legally required to tell you. Oh, and I think I left my jacket here last night." Yeah, that close. And here's the real kicker. It took a soft-spoken comic to say what an entire 24/7 news industry couldn't. That alone should tell you how broken the system is. While institutions twist themselves in neutral-worded pretzels, Josh Johnson steps up with deadpan precision and just tells the truth. Quietly, calmly, and without apology. And somehow that whisper hit louder than an arena full of MAGA chants. Trump's whole image is dominance. The brand, the showmanship, the slogans. But Josh didn't fight it. He didn't even touch it. He just observed it, like watching a zoo animal wearing a tie. And that's what made it fatal. You can't beat Trump by shouting. You beat him by describing him accurately, calmly, like noting a glitch in your TV settings. He didn't have to dig through scandals. He didn't have to yell insurrection. He just pointed out, without flinching, that the emperor's hair is cotton candy, and everyone finally saw it. Trump dodged indictments, impeachments, the FBI, but he didn't dodge this. A dry roast that hit him where it hurts most, his image. And there's no NDA that can save that. And if you thought this was bad, wait until Josh turns his gaze to Elon Musk. Because with every line, Trump got smaller. Not physically, unfortunately, but in presence, in power, in credibility. Johnson chipped away at the myth until all that was left was a guy yelling on Truth Social and rage posting about tariffs. And in a world where everyone's desperate to be seen, Josh's biggest weapon? He doesn't care if you notice, which makes him unavoidable. He didn't just roast Trump. He evicted him from the conversation, silently, effortlessly, like it was routine maintenance. And in the end, it wasn't about politics. It was about reality. The emperor's not just naked. He was never wearing clothes in the first place. Josh didn't need to scream. He just needed a mic. And what's more devastating than that? Nothing.